Hi, I'm Karl Weber. This is the second video in my series about becoming a successful business book author. I've spent over 30 years in publishing, both inside publishing houses as an editor and publisher, and also as a freelance writer, editor, and consultant, serving authors and agents. I've contributed to the success of dozens of popular business books, including many bestsellers, on topics ranging from leadership and management to strategy and marketing, from finance and investing to entrepreneurship and career development. It's been a fun ride, and I've learned a lot in the process. In the first video in this series, I explained 6 reasons why you might want to consider becoming a business book author. Now I want to move on to the next stage in the process. How do you go about discovering the great business book that may be hidden inside you, waiting to come out? I'm going to suggest a 5-step approach to discovering the book in you, based on 5 questions you ought to consider in sequence. The first of the 5 questions is, what's your subject? In a sense, the answer may be somewhat obvious. Your career in business has probably made you an expert in some specific topic. You could be a salesperson, a successful entrepreneur, an expert in human resources, a communications guru, a strategic mastermind, or a skillful manager. A general area of expertise like this defines your subject, but for the purposes of your book, you'll want to narrow the focus to one that clearly defines what's special about you. One way to think about this is to try to define the specific subject area you know better than practically anyone else. For example, it's unlikely that you're the world's top expert on marketing in general, but you might be the top expert on marketing something specific. For example, on marketing professional services to nonprofit organizations. For another example, you probably aren't the world's greatest expert on leadership, but you might have had an amazing experience leading a mid-sized company through a difficult reorganization, and that experience might have made you one of the very best experts on that specific leadership challenge. From these examples, you can probably see that a more narrowly defined subject is usually more interesting. It's also more likely to be a subject that you can write a credible book about, and perhaps a very powerful one. So start by defining the exact subject you want to write about, and don't be afraid of making it rather specific, even narrow. The second question is, what's your message? This is different from your subject. Your subject is simply what you want to write about. Your message is what you want to say about your subject. You should be able to state your message in one sentence, and for a number of reasons, it's important to work on couching your message in that form. Stating your message in the form of a complete sentence with a subject and a verb forces you to make it an active, definite statement rather than a vague, mushy mess. Instead of stating merely what you want to write about, compose a sentence that summarizes concisely the key insight about your subject that you want to share with readers. For example, suppose your subject is turning a group of workers from very different backgrounds into a cohesive team. That's what you want to write about. To define your message, create a sentence that offers your most important insight about the subject. Of course, your message will be very personal, based on your values and experiences. But an example of the kind of sentence you might write could be, the key to turning a group of people from differing backgrounds into a cohesive work team is to develop and teach a strong set of company values that everyone can agree upon and that will produce economic and personal rewards for each member of the team when they're put into action. Notice that this sentence says something very definite about how you create a cohesive team. It reflects what you've learned in your years as a manager. And it suggests some of the things you'll write about in your book. For example, what kinds of company values to develop, how to teach them, and how to make sure they produce rewards for everyone. Defining your subject and crafting your message may not be an easy task. It may take you quite a bit of thought, research, and experimentation to decide exactly what you want to write about and exactly what you want to say about it. But taking the time to do this right will help ensure that your book has something worthwhile to say, a crucial first step in writing a successful book. The third question is, who are your readers and why should they care? The answer to this question should grow naturally out of your subject and your message. Your readers should be people in the real world who care about your subject and who will find your message interesting, relevant, and useful. The more specifically you can define your likely readers, the better. If you're writing a business book, your readers will probably be people in some area of business, although people in the nonprofit and government spheres may also read books about business topics, and students and others who aspire to business careers also read business books. Take time to write a description of your likely readers and why they should care about your subject and your message. For example, my book on how to manage a tutoring company will be of interest to people who currently run such a business, as well as to people like school teachers who are considering starting or buying a tutoring company. Above all, be careful if you feel tempted to define your likely readership too broadly. As an editor and publisher, I long ago learned that when an author says, "My book will be of interest to everyone in the world of business," it probably means the book will be of interest to practically no one. A specific, definite reading audience is more likely to be a real one. The fourth question is, what benefits will you offer your readers? This question forces you to think about your book as a product that customers will want to buy because it gives them something good that they want or need. This is especially important when it comes to business books, which few people read just because they're interesting or informative. In almost every case, people seek out business books that will help them in their work in some specific way. So try to define exactly how your book will help readers. For example, you could say, "My book will help people who need to invest for their retirement to develop a savings plan tailored specifically to their age and personal circumstances." The fifth and final question is, what will make your book unique? This is an important question because the book business is one with enormous competition. Thousands of new business books are published every year, and that's on top of the thousands of old books that remain available in bookstores, libraries, and online. So if you hope to win any significant number of readers for your book, you need to make sure it has something to offer that's different from what's already out there, and that requires research. Visit a couple of nearby bookstores and spend time on Amazon studying other books that address the same topic as yours. Jot notes on their strengths and weaknesses. Figure out the benefits that the competing books offer and try to determine what you can offer that's better or different. It could be something dramatic, like an angle on the topic that no one else has ever addressed. Or it could be something rather modest, like a new and clearer way of explaining complex issues that readers will find important. If your research tells you that your book idea really doesn't offer anything that's brand new, you may need to go back to the drawing board. Rethink your subject and your message and figure out what you have to offer that will make the effort of writing and publishing a book worthwhile, both for you and for your potential readers. Once you've discovered what is unique about your book, write a description of it in a sentence or two. For example, you could say, "My book is the first one to tell people seeking careers in the financial services industry specifically about what they should do and not do to make social media like LinkedIn and Facebook effective tools in their job search process." You've probably realized that the 5-question process I've just walked you through is fairly demanding. It will take you a while to define exactly what the book you want to write will offer to readers that is useful and new. But I promise you the process is worthwhile. It will give you a much better chance of writing a book that readers will embrace and enjoy. Of course, there is much more to learn about the whole job of creating a successful business book. I recommend you accelerate your learning process by attending the Business Writers Conference, hosted by my friends Jack and Patty Phillips at the Business Writers Network. I'll be one of the featured speakers at this year's conference, along with many of the smartest and most interesting people from the world of business publishing, writers, editors, publishers, publicists, consultants, and others. I'd love to meet you there. Thanks for watching. For more information about the second annual Business Writers Conference, April 19th to 21st, 2017, visit www.business-writers-exchange.com.